Hi guys, Dave Wilson here again. Now, interesting little video for you today. I've just bought this strange looking thing. It's a gauntlet ring, armour ring. Yeah, it's one of those things. These nice big gnarly rings. Now the reason why I bought this is because it's absolutely black. This is 15 years old and it's sterling silver and it's completely black and oxidised. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to polish it up, clean it, give it a mirror finish and restore it back to its former glory. So I thought it would be great to turn on the camera and show you exactly how I do that and the thoughts and decisions that I go through when I'm refurbishing a piece like this. So let's give you a closer look at it and let's bring it back to its former glory. Follow me. Now, I could put this on the buffing wheel, the bench polisher. I could use the flexi shaft to polish it up, but the danger is if there's any dirt or grit on this, that could scratch it. So the first thing I need to do is just give it a rinse under the tap and just rinse it off, so make sure there's no actual bits or debris on it. Now, the thing with this is, and this is why I picked it, it's in 4 sections and it's articulated, so there's lots of tiny little areas, so it's going to be very difficult to get into all these little areas, either with a flexi shaft or wire brush. So what I'm going to do is put it in a tumbler. A few tips on the tumbler. This is a Lortone 3A tumbler. Now, the reason why I bought this is because the lid actually screws on very firmly. The first one I had was one of the ones where it sits on the top, and basically it's just a piece of drain pipe with end caps on. So this is actually a proper tumbling barrel. It's made out of rubber, so it's nice and quiet, and this has a 3-pound capacity. Now what that means is the entire barrel with your jewellery and the shot mustn't weigh more than 3 pounds. That's the rating of the machine. Now this is the shot that I use. This is a combination of things. So we've got small little round ball bearings, if I can pick one up, little round bearings or shot. You've got these other little weird things which are almost like little flying saucer shapes. Strange little things. I think there's some kind of bearings as well, but they're great. This is the important bit, pins. Tiny little pins. These are called panel pins. They're basically the tiny little nails. Now you might be worried about this. You might think that the pins are going to scratch. They're not. The action of the tumbler and the soap, it's very gentle, and what it's going to do is it's going to rub and polish it. Great tip for you here. This is a stainless steel sieve. Okay, and what I do is when I finish the piece, I will put this under the tap and rinse it off and get rid of all the dirt, any bits of grit, residue, anything that you don't want. And that's very important to do that. Keep it all nice and clean. Now, when I first started using the tumbler, I wasn't getting very good results. Excuse me a moment. I wasn't getting very good results, and one of the problems was I didn't have enough shot. I was only using a small amount. So I've got about 2 pound or 1 kilo of shot. Okay. You just want enough water just to cover the shot there. If you've got too much, the barrel becomes too heavy and the tumbler can't move it at the right speed. If you've not got enough, then the mixture is too dry and it could be a bit scratchy. So you've got to get just enough water just to cover the shot there. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. Another tip is use just warm water, not boiling, just warm. And what that does is, as the tumble media goes round, it gets warm and it heats up and the air expands and it can sometimes pop your lid off. So if you start with warm water, then it will cool a little bit and it helps to suck the lid down. So, little top tip there. So there we go, there's our ring, just pop that in. And then we've got some Barrel Bright. So this is Barrel Bright or galley soap or burnishing powder. You get this from a jewellery suppliers. absolutely essential. The shot that I've got in here is just steel, it's not stainless. So what this does is, this acts as a lubricant, a cleaner, it helps everything to move and slide nicely, and it also stops your steel shot from rusting. So when you're finished, just keep your shot in the, and it forms a kind of jelly over the surface. It's weird stuff. Lid on, nice and tight, and that's going to go in the tumbler for the rest of the day. And it's now had 24 hours. So we can see that the inside, hopefully you can see that, it's a lot clearer now, and in fact that's pretty darn good, but we can get it better. You can see all the tarnishing has gone on the inside. On the outside it's a lot clearer, and the tarnishing that was round the back has also gone now. So two things, I'm going to get some little tools on the inside here, some little polishing tips to just finish that up on the inside, and then on the outside here I'm going to use some sanding pads to buff that, and then finally do the whole thing on the buffing wheel. So, into the workshop. So guys, back in the workshop, and there's just something I wanted to show you. This is the tumbling barrel that the ring came out of. Just look at that. That is 24 hours. So all that in there is all the dirt that's come off that. So this is why I said earlier it's very important that you keep changing the water in the barrel and keep it clean. Very important. Anyway, over here. Now I've got here some Everflex polishing pins, and these are little rubber, flexible rubber pins, and they've got abrasive in them. So these fit into, let's just shift these out of the way. These fit into a special little mandrel, and I've got these in my flexi shaft here. So this is going to get into all those tight little areas where I can't get anything else. So here we have the green. So this just gets rid of those previous little scratch marks, and it just puts a nice little shine on it. Now inside here I've got quite a big space here, and I can get access to the end there. So I can use some slightly larger tools. So what I'm going to use here is a 3M Scotch-Brite wheel, and these are the little, you sometimes see them called radial discs. Check out my video, I've got a video on these are brilliant. This is a yellow 80 grit, so this is quite coarse, so this will give me a satin finish, but it'll really help to shine up the inside. And there you go, that's it, just a matter of seconds. I could, if I wanted, use some finer grades as well just to get a better polish on it, but to be honest, you know what, I like that kind of satin finish on the inside. So I'm going to call it a day on the inside, and let's concentrate on the outside now. Don't know if this will show up on camera, but as I mentioned earlier, there's a tiny little ding there, just a little dent. So what I've got here is a very, very fine diamond file. So there we go, I've just filed that little nick out there, a little bit deeper than what I thought. Now obviously the file leaves scratches, but with these red handled diamond files, these are quite fine, so the finish, you can go straight from the diamond file straight to a triple E or buffing wheel, so you know, don't need to worry about that. So the last little touch-up job here is to get rid of these dings and scratches up here, so I'm going to use some sanding pads for them. Now this is the box here of micro mesh, and what these are is they're like little foam pads, and they're coated with abrasive, and there's all different colours you can see here, and they all come on these little pads, so you can go from a coarse right up to a fine. These are great because they're flexible, and you can start with a coarse one and work your way up to a fine one. So if you're using a file or a buff stick, it might be too rigid, especially on a curved surface. So these are going to be great for polishing all the curved surfaces on the back of this ring here. So I'm just going to work on this area here. So back over to the bench bin. So I'm going to start with the harsh one here, and it is going to scratch, but the idea is to get rid of the little dings that are in there. So I'm just going to give this a rub. So there we go, I've got rid of most of the big dings now up there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch down to a finer pad and just to get rid of those scratches, just to help it on its way. So there we go, that's a 2400, starting to get a bit of a shine now. To be honest, I probably don't need to go any finer, but there is just a couple little scratches there. So I'm just going to go down to, what's this, a 3600. So this is quite fine now, this is, you can hardly feel it. So I'm just going to give it a little buff over with that. So, nearly there, nearly there. So the inside has all been cleaned with the buffing pins, the little polishing pins, sorry, and the 3M Scotch-Brite wheel, so that's got a nice satin finish on the inside. The outside, I've used the diamond file around the edges to get rid of the nicks, and I've used the little micro mesh pads to buff out some little scratches up there. So the last thing to do now is to polish it. Now normally you would use Tripoli over it first and then finish it off with rouge. Well, I recently changed, so instead of using Tripoli I use this Menzerna IP, which is intense polish. It's slightly abrasive and you use this to get rid of your scratches and get your initial polish on, and then there's another one that follows it. So I'm going to use a hard felt wheel first on the outside and just give this a buff up. So just going to go over this a little bit. I've now switched to a wool mop, and if I just start going over the side, you can instantly see the mirror shine coming through. So I'm just going to go over the rest of the piece now, blend it all in and just give it a real good mirror shine. So here we go now. It's still a bit greasy, but that has got a beautiful mirror shine now. You can see the reflections on it. So if you weren't already a convert to this Menzerna polish, hopefully you will be now. This is brilliant. That's took 2 minutes. Look at it. So it doesn't really need it, but I'm just going to finish off now with a final polish. Now if using Tripoli and rouge, that's fine, you would now finish off with the rouge. I'm going to finish off with the Menzerna SF, which is super fine. So the IP and the super fine there instead of Tripoli and rouge. So I'm going to use some of that, soft brush again, but very important, and this is a big top tip, before you move to your final polish, always clean your piece. So if you've got Tripoli on it, make sure you clean it, wash it, warm water, toothbrush, soapy water, clean all that polish off. If you've got an ultrasonic, great, ultrasonic it, but you've got to get rid of all your first stage polish before you move to your rouge or your superfine polish. So this is like rouge basically, only it's yellow. And I'm just going to go all over that very lightly, nice and fast, high speed, very light touch. And it just, it's incredible, it just gives it that perfect mirror finish. Hopefully you can see that there. I can. Polishing. The polish can be quite greasy, so last thing you must do is clean all the polish off. So I've just got here some washing up liquid and some warm water, so make sure you give it a final clean. So we're all done, beautifully polished and refurbished. Last little tip, Town Talk silver polishing cloth, brilliant. So there we go. Now I know this video's been edited, but that probably took, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, and that's with turning the camera on and off as well. If I was just in the workshop doing this on my own, I reckon I could do that in about 10 minutes. Now the point is, I bought this off eBay, black and tarnished for a couple of pounds. Polished up and shiny, well, what would you pay for it? So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed spending some time in my workshop and indeed in my garden, competing with the local wildlife. Hope to see you again real soon on the next video. I've been Dave Wilson. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.